Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Robert and I've been a creative professional for over 20 years. And I've been running my own creative media production business for the past 12 years alongside my wife, who is a producer. In this video, I'm going to break down the setup and lighting from a recent shoot we produced in the studio. Be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll give you my top 3 tips for saving time on set. So let's get into it. Hey guys, back with another video, and today we're in the studio shooting part 3 of an ongoing project for a client. In a previous video, we took a behind the scenes look at the lighting setup of a food shoot that we produced for the same client. I also talked about the Nanook 938 here and what I store in it. But this is my FX6 package, which ended up being the B camera for this shoot, and we'll get into why a little bit later in the video. But I keep the Sigma 24-70 attached, which maximizes what I can fit inside this case, and it allows me to store the 28-135 vertically. I've tried it the other way around and it takes up too much space, and I found this to be the best layout, at least for now. So not a big deal to switch lenses here, and it's nice when I do use the 24-70 on a job because I can just pull it out of the case, attach a battery, and I'm ready to start shooting. As I mentioned, we shot essentially the same thing a few weeks ago for this client, so I needed to match the lighting and the look that we established from the first shoot. This can be a bit tricky, but I took lots of reference photos of how I set things up the first time around. I also took notes of all the camera settings along with the output and color temps of the lights. Whenever I have to match shots and setups like this, one thing that really helps is getting some photos of your monitor with the false color turned on. That can make it a lot easier to set up your levels and match things up nicely without too much hassle. So we kept the lighting very even on the talent, and we used a hard backlight for some separation. Here's a shot of the monitor from the first shoot, and you can see how even the levels are on the background. And you can see the edges of the frame fall off just slightly, which gives a nice subtle vignette. I like to get the look as close as I can in camera and minimize the time needed to tweak things in post, which is why having a reference of your waveform or false color can be a big time saver when you need to match shots. I used a total of 6 lights for this shoot. I've got 2 Amaran 200Ds with the reflector dishes attached, and I use those to illuminate the background. For the key, I used 2 Aperture 300Xs. For modifiers, I'm using 2 of the glow softboxes. I use these a lot when I'm working with strobes. They're nice because they have a Bowens mount and they're really quick to set up. For this shoot, they got the job done, but I would have preferred to have 2 larger 6-foot softboxes. But I made these work by backing them up a little bit further than I would than if they were the 6-foot boxes. Reason for that is the further you pull back your lights, the flatter the light will be, which is what we needed for this shoot. So by pulling them back, it gave them more spread and lit the subject nice and evenly. And since I wanted a wider, more even spread of light, I left the grids off of them. Setting up the background lights here, they needed to light the wall evenly, which can be a little tricky. That's why I use false color whenever I need to match shots like this, because you can really dial them in when you're on set and not have to adjust them in post. One little trick I do when I'm doing this is to set these lights up side by side. That way I can raise them to the same height and set the angle to be the same. Doing it this way makes it easier than running back and forth while they're on opposite sides of your set.
Always had a way to make it work and find another route.
Getting everything connected up to Sidus Link here. I love that this capability exists. More and more productions these days have small to no crew, and this shoot is a good example of that. But being able to change things on the fly while you're looking at the monitor is just a huge time saver. Getting the FX30 prepped, I've got the Sigma 18-35 on there. I wasn't sure if I'd need the additional range of the 18-50 that I recently picked up, but the 18-35 did the trick. We fluctuated just a little bit throughout the day, and we're landing between 28mm and 35mm on it. On the previous shoot, we used just the FX6. But this time around, we decided to add a second camera to give us a cutaway shot in the edit. So I once again relied on my reference images to help me know not only where to set the A camera, but also what focal length it should be, so that it would match seamlessly to the previous framing and composition. The FX30 was our main camera, which was locked off on sticks for the day. And once I had that camera system dialed in, I set up the FX6 on wheels to make it easier to move around. I couldn't get too far off axis with the second camera for a few reasons. One, because we didn't have a second camera operator, which meant that both cameras needed to be close enough so that I could easily monitor both. The second reason was if the FX6 drifted too far off axis, we would start to see the edge of the cyc wall. We also didn't have a sound person for this job, so I used my Rode Wireless Pros and fed them into the FX6. I've had this system for a while and I've really enjoyed working with them. I really wanted locking connectors, so I held off on buying any of the previous Rode systems. I love that they have 32-bit float backup recording. So far I haven't ever experienced any dropouts with the system, and I've never needed the 32-bit float to get me out of a bind, but it's good peace of mind knowing that it is there if you really needed it. This setup all worked out great as I was able to monitor the audio coming into the FX6 while getting a tight second angle with the 28-135. I was also able to monitor picture on the FX30, which was in arm's reach and made it easy for me if I did need to make any adjustments. I didn't want to think about swapping batteries on the FX30, so I ran it and the monitor off of wall power. Symmetry was important to match the framing of this shoot with the previous one. So once I had the main camera set, I needed to set up the Forza 60B and the projector directly in line with the lens of the FX30. This ensured that the light being projected on the wall would be even and symmetrical in the final frame. From there, I used the cutters on the projector to get exactly what I wanted on the background. Again, it was super important that I got photos from the first shoot that I could use as a reference. Using them helped me know exactly what I or E values I needed on the background so that everything matched. Once I had both cameras set up, I checked framing and levels and started to tweak things and get it just right. Nicole was on set for part of this production, which for me is always a big help. Since she puts so much time in on the pre-production side of things, she knows exactly what needs to be done on the actual shoot day. And because she's built up a great rapport with our clients heading into a project through regular contact and communication, it helps put everyone's mind at ease, making them comfortable and confident that nothing will be missed or fall through the cracks. It's one of the big reasons we've been so successful over the years. In the early days of starting our business, a lot of people didn't fully understand what a producer actually does or how they bring value to a project. It may be a shameless plug here, but after clients work with her, they all say the same thing, which is that they couldn't have done it without her and that she made their job so much easier. She makes every part of a production run smoothly, and because she's so experienced and knowledgeable about each phase of production, she knows exactly what to look for that others will miss, and she has an innate ability to spot red flags before they even pop up. While it's certainly possible to be a freelancer on your own, working with and collaborating with her makes my life and the quality of work that we're able to deliver so much better. She's able to keep me on track, ensuring that things don't take longer than they need to, while always keeping the vibe on set fun and lighthearted. If you're a freelancer who is struggling to do it all on your own, chances are you would benefit greatly from working with a competent producer like her. I totally get that it's easier for shooters and DPs like myself to just hire someone as an extra set of hands for a job. But finding a producer that you can rely on and collaborate with will remove so much stress from your role on a project. Since nerding out on cameras and lighting isn't likely what they're passionate about, it will free your mind up to focus on the creative part of producing video content, while allowing them to focus on the details that we as camera operators can easily glance over. With all that being said, here are my top 3 tips for saving time on set. Tip number 1, pre-production planning. This is often the most overlooked part of the process and is usually the most important step in any project, which is why it's important to thoroughly plan and organize all aspects of a shoot, including detailed shot lists, storyboards, and scheduling. This helps avoid delays and ensures that everyone knows their roles and responsibilities on shoot day. Tip number 2, be organized. This one may seem obvious, but for you as the camera operator or DP, it may be the most important. You never want anyone waiting on you while you're scrambling to build a camera or find that one piece of essential equipment. Devise a system that works for you so that you always know where all of your gear is at all times. For me, that's using 2 separate hard cases. One that contains my FX30 and APS-C lenses, along with any and all accessories needed to make that system function for me on a shoot. I have a second case that houses my FX6 and is configured in the exact same way. This way, I can arrive to set with just 2 cases and have 2 camera packages, and I know where everything is. And lastly, tip number 3, arrive prepared. Heading into every production, be sure you're prepared before you even arrive on set. Study the shot list and make sure you fully understand what the client's needs and expectations are. By being well-versed with the creative brief, you'll arrive to set knowing exactly what the objectives are and what you need to do for the shoot to be successful. If you guys enjoyed this video, you're going to love this video over here, where I show you how to set up your camera for great-looking top-down shots, and I also share my lighting setup for a series of recipe videos we produced. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.